He divorced his first wife, not because of infidelity, not because of scandal, and not because their love had completely died. He did it so he could marry someone else. Legally, that decision would change everything. This is the story of Kody Brown, the man at the center of TLC's Sister Wives, and how he legally divorced his first wife Meri Brown after 24 years of marriage, not to leave her emotionally, but to legally marry his youngest and newest wife Robyn. To the outside world it sounded like just a legal technicality, but to fans, to Meri, and to the very foundation of the Brown family, it was a betrayal that echoed louder than any family fight. It was the move that cracked everything wide open. In the world of sister wives, things aren't always what they seem. On the surface, this wasn't a divorce filled with yelling, cheating, or slammed doors. There was no lawyer in a courtroom screaming irreconcilable differences. Instead, there was something colder, quieter, almost businesslike. Kody asked Meri to divorce him, and she said yes, but not because she wanted to, because she felt like she had no choice. According to what was shown on Sister Wives, the reason was for the sake of the family. Kody and Robyn wanted to legally adopt Robyn's 3 children from a previous marriage, and in order to do that, Kody had to become their legal father. That required marrying Robyn, legally. But here's the catch. Kody was already legally married to Meri, so to make this happen, Meri had to step aside. Literally, she had to give up her legal wife status, the title she had held since 1990, so that Robyn could take her place. And that's exactly what happened. On September 25, 2014, Meri Brown signed the divorce papers. She had been married to Kody for 24 years. Through thick and thin, through adding wives, through raising kids, through financial hardships, family stress, emotional trials, and endless reality TV exposure. And in one swift move, it was gone. What had once been a real legal marriage with protections, rights, and commitment became just a spiritual connection, one that no longer had any legal standing. Meri said the right things on camera. She smiled. She even told fans, "This is not a breakup, this is just a legal change." But behind that brave face was heartbreak. Longtime viewers of Sister Wives saw the shift immediately. Meri was always private, quiet, and often emotional. But after the divorce, something changed in her entirely. She looked more withdrawn. She spoke less, and when she did speak, her voice carried sadness, loneliness, even regret. You could feel it through the screen. Many fans believed that Meri didn't just lose her legal status, she lost her sense of identity. For years, being the first wife gave her a unique role in the family. Now that title was handed to Robyn, a woman who had only been in the family for a few years. And to make things worse, Kody didn't show much sympathy. In fact, in later episodes he would go on to say things like, "I don't really consider myself married to Meri anymore." That line cut deeper than the divorce itself. It revealed what many already suspected. The marriage wasn't just over on paper, it was over in his heart too. The Brown family had always been promoted as a strong, unified polygamist family. But Meri's quiet divorce exposed a shocking imbalance. Why did Meri have to give up everything? Why didn't Kody suggest Robyn become a legal guardian without marriage? Why was Robyn treated with such importance, while the others, including the woman who started it all, were pushed to the side? Suddenly the cracks in the family became clear. This wasn't a united group of sister wives anymore. This was a man who had clearly chosen one woman above the rest, and the rest of the family was beginning to feel it too. In the seasons that followed, Meri's emotional breakdown became more and more visible. She struggled with being isolated. She tried to repair her relationship with Kody, but he didn't seem interested. In a heartbreaking confession, Meri once said, "He's already decided we're done. He just didn't bother to tell me." It was clear that the divorce was never just about paperwork. It was about priorities. And Meri had fallen to the bottom of Kody's list. The woman who gave him her youth, her loyalty, and her trust was now barely acknowledged. To this day, many Sister Wives fans believe that Kody's divorce from Meri was one of the biggest betrayals in the show's entire history. Not because divorce is wrong, but because of how cold and calculated it all felt. It wasn't about emotions. It was about paperwork. It wasn't about Meri's happiness. It was about Robyn's gain. And worst of all, it was the beginning of the end. From that moment on, the Brown family would never be the same. Christine would leave. Janelle would separate. Meri would emotionally detach. And Robyn, she'd remain the only legal wife, the only one Kody truly fought for. The shocking divorce between Kody and Meri may have looked small on paper, but in reality, it shook the Brown family to its core. It was the move that exposed the favoritism, the cracks, the power plays, and the emotional damage that had been building for years. And the saddest part, Meri saw it coming and still signed the papers. Because when you're taught that family comes first, sometimes you forget to protect yourself. In 1990, Meri Barber married Kody Brown. She was young, in love, and full of belief in a higher calling, the dream of living a plural marriage under the principles of their faith. To Kody, Meri wasn't just his wife. She was the first, the only legal partner, and the woman who would become the foundation of what was supposed to be a massive, united family. Back then, it wasn't about television, cameras, or fame. It was about faith, sacrifice, and building something together that was bigger than themselves. And for Meri, it felt like her destiny. She believed in plural marriage, and she believed in Kody. But as time would prove, love in plural marriage is never equal. And while Meri's name may have been on the legal documents, her place in Kody's heart would in the early years of their marriage. Meri had something no other future wife could ever truly have: the law on her side. When Kody spiritually married Janelle in 1993, and then Christine in 1994, neither of those unions were recognized by the government. But Meri's was. She was the only one with Kody's name on a marriage certificate. She had the rights. She was the one signing documents. She was the one introduced at formal events. She made the decisions when things got complicated. While the family always preached equality, behind closed doors, Meri's position was unique, and everyone knew it. There was a quiet authority in her status. Even though the other wives may have had more children or deeper emotional bonds with Kody at times, Meri had legal power, and that carried weight. Meri wasn't just the legal wife. She was the emotional foundation of the entire family. She was there for every new wife that joined. She helped raise children that weren't hers. She put in the hard work when times were tough. And even when her own relationship with Kody was strained, she stayed. When the family faced hardships, financial or emotional, Meri was always one of the first to speak up and offer strength. She was smart, loyal, and deeply rooted in her faith. She had only one biological child, Leon Brown, but she treated all the Brown children like her own. That's who Meri was: the quiet protector, the structured soul, the legal matriarch. But just because she was strong, didn't mean she didn't hurt. Behind Meri's strong presence, there was a growing emotional gap between her and Kody. Their relationship had its ups and downs. Over the years, the connection seemed to fade. There were arguments, long silences, and visible tension on screen. But still, Meri held on. Why? Because she believed in the family. She believed in the commitment she made to Kody. And most importantly, she believed that being the first and legal wife meant she had a permanent place in Kody's life. She thought, no matter what happened, she would always be his first choice. But she was wrong. In 2010, everything changed. That year, Kody met Robyn Brown, a divorced mother of 3. She was young, charming, and had a sweet vulnerability that caught Kody's attention fast. At first, Meri supported the courtship. She encouraged it, even helped Kody connect with Robyn. In her mind, she was helping the family grow, just like she had done with Janelle and Christine. But this time, it felt different. Robyn wasn't just a new wife. She came with new priorities, new needs, and a desire for legal security, something none of the other spiritual wives had. And suddenly, Meri's unique position, it wasn't so unique anymore. It was in danger. When Robyn entered the family, she brought with her not just love, but legal complication. She had 3 children from a previous marriage, and she wanted them to be adopted by Kody. To do that, Kody needed to become their legal father. There was only one problem. He was already legally married to Meri. Now Kody and Robyn faced a decision. Would Meri be willing to give up her legal status so Kody could marry Robyn and adopt her kids? This was a moment of truth for Meri. She had built this family. She had endured decades of sacrifice, and now she was being asked to step aside. In 2014, Meri made the most painful choice of her life. She agreed to legally divorce Kody so he could marry Robyn and adopt her children. To the world, she presented it as a selfless act. On the show, she said, "This is just a legal change. It doesn't change how we feel as a family." but fans could see the pain in her eyes. Her voice cracked, her smile faded. She knew, deep down, she was giving up the only piece of power she had left. She wasn't just losing her legal marriage, she was losing her identity, her status, and her place in the family hierarchy. And Kody, he didn't fight it. He didn't offer another way. He signed the papers, married Robyn, and moved on. After the legal divorce, Meri's role in the family shifted dramatically. No longer the legal wife, her presence became less and less significant in Kody's eyes. Their emotional distance grew wider. He spent more time with Robyn. He grew colder toward Meri. He even told the cameras later on, "I don't consider myself married to her anymore." That was the final blow. Meri, the woman who once had the title, the legal bond, and the first place in his life, was now barely even acknowledged. She had gone from wife to witness, watching the family she helped build drift away. Meri Brown wasn't just a wife. She was the original partner in Kody's polygamous dream. She was the first to believe, the first to sacrifice, and the first to step back when asked, even if it broke her. And in return, she was replaced, quietly, legally, permanently. Her story is a painful reminder that in a world where love is divided, power can be too. She was younger, she was softer spoken, and in a matter of months, she became the favorite. When Robyn Brown entered the Brown family in 2010, she was introduced as the fourth wife, a woman with 3 children, a painful divorce behind her, and a dream of joining a plural marriage built on love and unity. But what happened next would tear that dream apart, because when Robyn arrived, the balance of power in the Brown household shifted forever. At first, Robyn seemed like a gentle addition. She was shy, emotional, and respectful of the other wives. She talked openly about wanting to fit in, earn her place, and be part of the family culture that Meri, Janelle, and Christine had built over 2 decades. But what no one expected, not even Meri, was how quickly Kody fell in love with Robyn. Their chemistry was undeniable. Their dates were longer, their conversations deeper, their emotional bond instant. Suddenly the man who had once balanced 3 wives, emotionally and spiritually, began showing clear favoritism. And Meri, she saw it all. From the outside, the Brown family still preached unity. But behind the scenes, Meri was crumbling. Robyn was everywhere. She wasn't just the new wife. She was Kody's new obsession. He looked at her differently. He defended her fiercely. He gave her time, affection, and space the other wives could only dream of. On camera, Meri tried to smile, tried to be supportive, tried to act like this was just another step in their plural marriage journey. But deep down, she was starting to realize something heartbreaking. She was being replaced. Unlike the other wives, Robyn brought something new into the marriage. 3 kids from her previous relationship. To Robyn, those children were her world, and she wanted them to feel safe, secure, and fully part of the Brown family. That meant one thing: adoption. She wanted Kody to legally adopt her children. But there was a problem. Kody was already legally married to Meri, and under the law, you can't adopt unless you're legally married to the child's mother, or single. So now, for Robyn's dream to come true, Meri had to give something up. Kody approached Meri with the idea. Not with tears, not with guilt, but with logic. He said the divorce was just legal, that nothing would change emotionally, that she'd still be his wife spiritually. He told her it was for the good of the family, for Robyn, for the children, for their legacy. Meri was blindsided. After 24 years of marriage, through poverty, hardship, and emotional isolation, she was being asked to step aside for another woman's gain. And not just emotionally, legally. The cameras caught it all. Her tight smile, her shaking voice, her desperate attempts to act like it was okay. She said, "It's just a legal thing. I'm still Kody's wife. That doesn't change." But her eyes told the real story. She was devastated. This wasn't just a name change on a piece of paper. This was the end of her identity. The only legal tie she had to the man she loved, being erased, and she agreed to. Why? Because she believed she had to. She told herself this was what a strong wife does, that this was her role in the family, that sacrificing for the greater good was holy. But the truth? She felt discarded. After Meri signed the divorce papers in 2014, everything changed. Kody legally married Robyn soon after. He began the process to adopt her children. And suddenly Robyn wasn't just another wife. She was the legal wife, the one with authority, the one with power. And Meri, she faded into the background. The dynamic in the Brown home shifted fast. Kody and Robyn became a legal public couple. They handled finance. They made decisions. They moved closer, emotionally, legally, and physically. Meri, once the queen of the family, was now just a name in the credits. The years after the divorce were brutal for Meri. Her relationship with Kody deteriorated rapidly. He became distant, cold, almost dismissive. At one point, Kody even said on national TV, "There was a time when Meri and I had a romance, but we don't anymore." It was soul-crushing. This wasn't the man she married. This wasn't the family she helped build. She had given up her status, her legal name, her pride. And in return, she got silent. Many fans have asked a painful question. Was the divorce really about Robyn's children, or was it always about making Robyn the legal wife? It's a haunting thought, because once Robyn became the legal wife, everything shifted. The emotional bonds between Kody and his other wives began to unravel, especially with Meri. And Robyn, she stepped into her new role with grace, but also with a sense of permanence. She had what Meri no longer did: the law, the paperwork, the man. Meri Brown made the ultimate sacrifice. She gave up her legal marriage, something most women would never even consider, so another woman's children could be adopted, so that the family could stay united, so that she could prove her loyalty. But in doing so, she lost everything. Not just the title, not just the name. She lost her place, her voice, her worth, in Kody's eyes. And the worst part? He never looked back. September 25, 2014, the day everything changed. After 24 years of marriage, Meri Brown, Kody's first and only legal wife, signed the papers that ended her legal marriage. No scandals, no fights, just a quiet filing and a world-shaking result. Because within months, Kody Brown married Robyn, his fourth wife on paper. And in that one decision, Meri, the woman who started this entire family, became an outsider in her own home. Meri wasn't just losing a legal title, she was losing her identity. For nearly 2.5 decades, she was Mrs. Kody Brown, legally, emotionally, and symbolically. She was the woman who helped him build a home, raise children, and create the sister wives' legacy. But after the divorce, she was just a spiritual wife, a title that carried no legal weight, no protection, and no real recognition in the eyes of the law. Her name was no longer on the marriage license. She couldn't sign documents. She had no say in financial decisions or medical emergencies involving Kody. She had become invisible on paper, and slowly invisible in the family. Fans of Sister Wives noticed the shift almost. Robyn Brown, the newest and youngest wife, went from fourth place to queen of the castle. She and Kody became a public, legal couple. They did interviews together. They made joint decisions. They presented themselves as the core unit of the family. The other wives, Meri, Janelle, and Christine, were pushed to the background. But Meri felt it the most. She was no longer introduced as Kody's wife. She was simply Meri, an original cast member, but no longer a central player in the family's inner circle. On Sister Wives, Meri tried to keep a brave face. She smiled. She nodded. She said all the right things. "It's for the good of the family. I still love Kody. We're still spiritually married." But viewers saw through it. She looked sad, tired, disconnected. And then came the moment that truly shattered fans and Meri's pride. In a now infamous interview, Kody was asked about his relationship with Meri, and his response: "I don't feel married." He didn't stutter. He didn't hesitate. He said it calmly, like he was discussing the weather. That one sentence felt like a dagger to Meri's heart, and a punch to the gut for the fans, who had followed her journey from the very beginning. The fan base erupted. Social media was flooded with hashtags like #JusticeForMeri, #TeamMeri, and #CodyIsCold. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. They had watched Meri give up her legal status to help Robyn's kids, only to be emotionally abandoned and publicly disrespected. Comments poured in: "How could he say that about the woman who started this family? Robyn gets everything. Meri gets nothing. She deserves better." The world was watching, and they were heartbroken and angry for Meri. Behind the scene, Meri was struggling. She tried to stay involved. She joined family events. She smiled for the camera. But her connection with Kody was non-existent. He avoided her. He barely talked to her. And when he did, the conversations were awkward, short, and cold. In one painful episode, Meri tried to plan a special Eid with Kody, just the two of them. His response: "I don't think that's appropriate," and it was devastating. This was the man she married, the man she shared a life with for 24 years, and now, he couldn't even sit down to dinner with her. Meri began spending more time alone. She took up photography, started exploring personal growth, but the sadness in her eyes never fully left. The legal implications of the divorce were enormous, and not just emotional. Meri no longer had access to joint finance, authority in medical emergencies, input in legal decisions affecting the family, any legal protection if Kody passed away. And unlike Robyn, she had no paper trail proving her connection to Kody. If the family were ever split she'd be on her own. All that remained was a spiritual bond. But what happens when even that starts to fade? Over time it became clear that even the spiritual part of Meri and Kody's marriage was gone. Kody openly said he had no romantic feelings toward Meri. He no longer considered their relationship a real marriage. They stopped sharing a home, stopped celebrating anniversaries, stopped pretending. Meri was now part of the family in name only, a silent, fading figure on the edge of and all of it, because she once said yes to help someone else. Many fans and critics began to wonder, was Meri manipulated in the divorce? Sure, it was framed as a noble act, a selfless gesture for the family. But was that just clever wording? Had Kody always intended to make Robyn his legal wife and push the others aside? Was Meri just the first domino in a plan to create a monogamous marriage within a polygamous shell? The timing, the favorite, the coldness, it all seemed coordinated to be a coincidence. When people talk about the downfall of the Brown family, they often point to one date, September 25, 2014. That was the day Meri became an outsider. That was the day Kody rewrote the rules of his own plural marriage. That was the day millions of fans lost faith in what they once believed was a loving, unconventional family. And for Meri, it was the beginning of a new chapter, one marked by pain, rejection, and an impossible question. Was the sacrifice worth it? It started with a signet and ended in complete heartbreak. After Meri Brown agreed to divorce her husband, everything began to unravel. What was supposed to be a simple legal shift to help Robyn turned into the death of a 24-year relation, emotional, spiritual, and finally, for Meri, the months that followed were some of the darkest in her life. And it only got worse. Once the legal divorce was finalized and Robyn was officially Kody's wife, Meri found herself in uncharted territory. She wasn't legally connected to Kody. She wasn't emotionally connected to Kody. And more importantly, he didn't want to fix. Fans watched as Kody began pulling away more and more from Meri. He stopped visiting her home. He stopped engaging in deep conversation. He even admitted that he didn't consider them a couple anymore. On camera, Meri tried to hide but every now and then the mask, and viewers would see the raw loneliness that had taken over her life. In 2015, things took an even more devastating. Meri, desperately seeking connection, began chatting online with someone she believed was a kind, understanding man named Sam. Finally, someone who made her feel hurt, someone who made her laugh, someone who made her feel wanted. But there was one huge problem. Sam wasn't real. The person behind the profile turned out to be a woman, pretending to be a man, manipulating Meri's vulnerability. It was a catfish scandal that shocked the nation and embarrassed Meri a global. She had opened her heart, shared private messages, even flirted. And now, the whole world was watching her crumble. The sister wives' cameras didn't look away. They followed Meri in her lowest moment, as she sobbed, broke down, and admitted just how invisible and unloved she felt. And she said things like, "I feel like I don't matter. I just wanted someone to talk to. I didn't think Kody cared." And Kody's reaction, cold, dismissive, harsh. Instead of comforting her, he accused her of betrayal. He used the catfish excuse to step even further away. At one point he said, "I don't trust her. I don't see a future with." It was cruel and final. For Meri, it was the ultimate confirmation that she was no longer wanted. Even though Kody had checked out emotion physically, Meri stayed. Year after year, through family gatherings, episodes, awkward, she remained in the background, trying to find her. But the truth was undeniable. She lived separate. She had no romantic relation. She wasn't involved in major, and every time she tried to connect, he shut her down. She was a wife in name, held there by spiritual ties that no longer held any. Fans begged her to find happiness, to walk away. But Meri wasn't ready. Not yet. By 2021, the writing was on the wall. Kody was spending all his with Robyn. His relationships with the other wives, Janelle and Ian, were also unraveling. But with Meri, there wasn't there was just silence. In one emotional confession, Meri finally said the words fans had known. "He's already made the. I just wasn't aware I had been left." It was devastating. She wasn't she wasn't bitter. She was just broken. Meri had been used for legal replaced by someone younger and favored, and left behind with no real closure. The Sister Wives fan community went into full outrage. Reddit threads exploded. YouTube videos criticized Kody of Meri. Comments poured in by the thousands. She deserves so much better. Why had
hasn't she walked away? This man doesn't love anyone but Robyn. For many, Meri's story was symbolic. A woman who gave everything, only discarded once she was no longer. And for others, it was a warning about emotional manipulation, religious control, and toxic. In early 2020, Meri Brown made the announcement that fans had been waiting years. Her soul marriage to Kody was they had no legal connection, no emotional bond, no relationship saving. She released a statement confirming their separation, finally without filter. And for the first time in years, she looked no longer trapped in limbo, no longer chasing a man who had stopped her long ago. Meri was finally claiming her life. With Meri gone, Christine long gone, and Janelle drifting further apart, fans began to ask, is the true end of sister wives? Because when the first wife walks away, the one who helped build it all, maybe the foundation was never as solid as it. What began as a story of pro love became a heartbreaking caution. And Meri Brown, she was the first to say yes, the first to sacrifice. But in the end, she was also the first to be left.